Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on the Lord of the Rings home. Now, we're in full swing here in Arwen. She was released on Thursday morning in terms of her event, and I kind of want to do a bit of a weekly wind-down recap of what's been going on with me, what's been going on with my roster, and how I feel about things just now. So we're going to be talking about sort of my experiences with Arwen, my experiences, what I'm doing with the elves right now, my farming, sort of what I'm doing right now on my roster, and I want to talk about what's to come in the near future. So if you're ready to go, everybody, you know what to do. Let's boil this down. Okay, so first off, I wasn't able to clear tier 6. I didn't buy Arwen. I told people that I wasn't really going to do this. I didn't really feel that Arwen is the character that I want to spend money on to get her to 5-star. Now, what I do like is, I keep forgetting that my frame just happens to cut off this bottom bit here, but I'm going to squeeze it back out again. So I'm going to bring this back up a little bit so you can see. But nonetheless, there we go. So you can see the rewards there on the bottom of the screen here. The reason why I have this is because of Marvel Strike Force. In different games, I have my monitor set up a certain way, but it cuts off a little bit of the bottom, which isn't important on Marvel Strike Force, but it shows here anyway. So 10 of these epic ability material. Now, if you're someone who did spend on Arwen, hold this, because this is what you need in order to upgrade your leader ability to level 5. Now, who are you going to use this on? Most likely is if you're spending on Arwen, you're already on your way to considering to get Elrond. And so that's probably what I would say for. Without a doubt, he is going to have that leader ability. And so this is going to be the ability material that you're going to want to use for him. There is 500,000 gold and 250,000 XP. And I think that's pretty much enough to get you to level 45. Is that what that's what I want to say, excluding at least gold, excluding on the ability upgrades and the gear tier upgrades and things like that. But as far as leveling goes, pretty sure that's enough to get you to like level 45. So if you have that 5-star. Now, I don't know how hard this level is. Heard it was a little bit challenging, so you do need to upgrade your Arwen a little bit, because I think that you're actually given, I did tier 5. And so if it's anything like tier 5, it required me to have about level 30 Arwen or so at gear tier 3 with some ability upgrades. That you're basically just using your Arwen and a bunch of custom provided characters, which usually are not enough on their own to do this, and you do need to upgrade them a little bit. So I don't know if this is the whole Star Wars Galaxy Hero model in terms of like just using the single character, because in the beginning, before this came out, I was like, okay, do we need anyone else? And that wasn't very clear, but I guess it's clear now that you're just using the one character that you have to invest in. And then I was able to walk away with a little bit of extra resources, and then I have this because I just hit level 50 recently. But as far as my R1, I want to show this with you right now. So level 30, yeah, gear tier 3, I think, and 3. It was 222 actually what I used for the level. But I did this recently, the 333. But you don't need that for the actual tier 5 of the level. So I walked away with a 3-star Arwen, and I'm not really planning on spending on her. Now, I said in the previous video, I'm pretty sure that I'm kind of waiting for Elladan. Now, I guess the next question is, how long are we waiting for Elladan? So the Arwen event is, 6 days basically, so it'll be until mid next week. And so are we waiting 2 weeks in between Arwen and Elladan, which means another week? So if that's the case, then we'll be looking at Thursday, June the 15th as a release date potentially for Elladan. And then maybe 2 weeks on from that for Elrond, which leads from late June into the early July period, which gives us about 30 days for those who are currently farming elves. And so my elves are right here across the top row, as you can see. My El row here is done. However, we still start just because, I want all the elves to be there at the top as far as the characters that I'm going to be using. Now, while I will be probably using Arwen in the Rivendell team, when hopefully I do unlock Elrond, which, yes, I admit that in order to do that, I am going to have to spend some money, on Elladan. And that's kind of what my plan is, because I think that he is going to be a little bit of a better character than Arwen. I strongly believe that Arwen is more of a kit-based character, so she's not there for huge damage or anything by any means. So I don't think that the star requirements is that necessary, unless you're wailing out on both Arwen and Elladan for the Elrond unlock. But from a money perspective, I'm just going to be going down on one I'm going to be going in on one of the premium characters to 5-star, so I don't have to spend as much money for that. So here we do have some damage on the basic and special, but a lot of it is just what she does is like is her kit, really, especially her ultimate doesn't actually have any damage in there. It's just cleansing Banes, adding buffs, regen buffs, and then immunity to Rivendell squad members. So, you know, there's really nothing that requires you to have a high star rank necessarily to do a boatload of damage, which she's not really going to do. That's not her job. That being said, depending on how much is being adjusted for Elodin's kit, what I know about Elodin so far is that he's a tank. Yeah, of course. He does damage, of course. And then he also retaliates. So at least in the existing kit that we have for Elodin as an enemy, basically whenever people hit Elro here, that there is a chance that he will retaliate back. I think it's 50%, but then maybe by level 6 passive or something like that, it's going to be a guaranteed retaliate, which means that he's going to be dishing out more damage, and that's why I want him to be at 5-star. Now, Elro here is obviously going to retaliate as well, you know, when any other members of the team with Taunt or Provoke get hit, and so that's going to be Elodin as well. So I want to make sure that he has the hit points to kind of survive these attacks, and so that I'm not getting completely wrecked when I actually do end up using this team. Now, my personal opinion is that assuming that I do unlock Elrond, I'm going to go with, obviously, Elro here, Arwen, Elrond, and Elodin, and then my 5th member, at this point, because of the way that the resources are pretty limited, in my opinion, at least for gearing and things like that, and the crystals, I think I'm still going to use Ironhide Troll, and we're going to get back to some of these other elves. But I recently gear tiered 8, and which is the current maximum for my Ironhide Troll. He's level 50, gear tier 8. Not much further I can go. You know, and because he does so much damage with his skills, like we've talked about Ironhide Troll, I'm not going to go into great detail here. He has 2 AoE attacks, and it does a lot of damage. And frankly, I think that he's going to actually output more damage. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to output more damage overall in an arena battle than Lomian will. You may have noticed, actually, in the trial event, that Lomian actually had a different kit. He actually had the beta kit. And in the beta kit, if he got a kill on his ultimate, it actually refreshed the energy. And it would allow him to keep going back to back to back on his ultimate if he managed to kill an enemy, because he would get full energy for this back. And so that's crazy. It's also crazy that they removed that, because Lomian is a minion character. If you played the beta at all, then you would have known that this guy was like Rivendell Duelist or some crap, like his name. He didn't have a name. And so because he wasn't a marquee character, that makes me think that he's maybe not as necessary to the team. I'm not a super big fan of his kit, I admit. But his Flurry of Steel can actually go up to some pretty high values, especially when you get to level 6. And he's attacking 5 times. I believe it's 5 times 75% or something like that, with enhanced crit chance per boon. You know, he can lead up, I guess, by giving himself might, you know, on his basic, and then lead up into the special. So it might do a decent amount of damage, but if I had to cut somebody from the team, it's going to be him, I think, because he only has a single target damage, whereas Ironhide is going to do AoE twice. You know, and so that's going to add up to a lot of damage across the team, especially in an arena context. Now, these other 2 characters, I actually think that there's some value here for new players if you're starting now. So if you're starting now and you're level 30 or whatever it was to unlock Arwen, then you're going to get a free 3-star Arwen. And that's actually really good, because as far as new character shards go, that's a lot. Like, it took me a little bit of time to get a 3-star of, like, any of my other characters that I'm currently using. Like, my Eowyn's still 3-star, right? And so that's a good place to start. And I think that if you can start now, and if you can get Arwen unlocked, that this will be a good starting team for now. If you miss Arwen, though, I'm not sure if I'd go into this, but a lot of these characters are very easily accessible. We currently have a login calendar right now that includes both Lomian and Leliel. Elro here is easily farmable in Guild Chapter 3, and Naramiri is farmable in Guild Chapter 2 when you get that unlocked. So that basically gives you quite a few elves to play with, especially from these easy marquee events, which I think is positive. Compared to Marvel Strike Force, I think this is very positive. You don't actually have to do pretty much anything to get a 3-star character. To get a little bit more, you do. But 3-star is more than viable for any of the characters at this state of the game. You know, if they weren't for an Elrond to unlock, 3-star is completely viable. Most of my high-level characters, clicked randomly. Most of my high-level characters here are 3-star. you know, Strider you get daily shards for. But I mean, Aelthane's still 3-star. My Aylmer is 4-star. I don't know why the game is clicking. My mouse is doing that by accident. And Aylmer is 4-star, and, you know, a lot of my Isengard orcs are 3-star now, after some farming. And so being able to do that is really good. So I would highly actually recommend, you know, at least until the end of the Arwen event. Once she goes away, I don't know, because I don't know how long it's going to take for her to become farmable, and whether or not elves would be a good idea for a new player at that point in time after Arwen goes away. There is, of course, Elladan, so you don't even need Arwen necessarily to unlock Elrond. But I guess the point is that if you completely miss Arwen, you know, when's the next chance that you're going to be able to unlock her? Might be some time down the line, and so it might not be worth it at that point at all. But I think for just now it is. I think it's a good new player idea to be focusing on elves at this current time. Now, I'll tell you where that changes things, because, you know, the existing meta, this offer aside, of course, the existing meta is Rohan. Rohan and Orcs. Rohan 3, Strider, Ironhide Troll, Isengard Orcs. That's like basically the free-to-play meta right now. And where that causes a little bit of problems is actually in the challenges. So currently, you can see here that Forged in the Deep, this is the Light Crystal challenge. And this requires humans and goblins. Now, the humans is fine, because for those of you who are using Rohan 3 and Strider, that's like four really good characters that you're using right now, and so I didn't really have a problem clearing this campaign. But let's say you move from Rohan as a beginner team to elves. Then you no longer have the humans that you need to do this campaign. Now, other humans that are available would include, like, the Haradrim, for example. They are human shadow characters that you could use to clear this, but not what I'm currently using myself. Some of the Dunlands as well are also humans, but not particularly meta at this point in time. So this is going to get balanced out, though, by the Dark Crystal one, which is orcs and elves. So I guess if you're thinking about changing to a beginner team of elves, then you might want to consider doing something different for your shadow team. And maybe that means down the line there will be. Maybe after this next set of, after these elves come out, maybe we'll get some shadow characters. Maybe we'll get the rest of the Haradrim characters, because there were data mined as well to have the Haradrim Sage guy and the Blade Master or whatever. And so maybe that would be a good pivot, that instead of using Rohan and orcs, you'll be using elves and Haradrim, you know, to balance out the challenges, to be able to get them done. So that is only one concern there. Also, more recently, I did clear tier 6 of the treasure trove. So this was very easy, just using my existing light team, which, again, Rohan 3 plus Strider plus Elro here. Actually, I imagine a full team of elves would also get this done as well, and shouldn't be that much of a problem. The only reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is an extra 11.5k, sorry, total of, I guess, like 33k, basically, per day, or about 100k a week more gold that I'm getting. So yay for hitting level 50, and that's just a little bit of an update there for that one. But other than that, I'm just saving. Also, this offer came up. I don't care about this offer. I'm just saving. I'm saving light crystals. I'm saving gold. I'm saving XP. I did actually put level 50 into my arena characters. I was debating that for a while. Level 50 does give a pretty big increase into your stats. So that's something to consider. Because I did get a pretty big jump in health. I got like 1,000, maybe about 800 health on my Ironhide when I took him to level 50. Just from that 49 to 50, it was a pretty big jump. So I would consider that for those of you who might be inching closer to level 50. But in the meantime, just continuing the shard farm and hoarding my resources until Elladan comes out, and hopefully we'll have more news on that early next week. And before we go, though, one last thing that I want to mention is that now, since I've pivoted to farming Naramiri instead of Elro here, I want to show what my spreadsheet farm looks like. The average percent drop for Naramiri so far, now it's early, it's not a lot of energy spent so far, is 26%. So I don't know if this means that Guild Chapter 2 has a lower drop rate. Now, I have accounted for the fact that it costs 8 energy and not 10. I've already included that in my math. And I'm still at about a 26% drop rate. Now, this is quite significant compared to the 40% that you see from both Elro here, the average about 40% from Elro here in the hard mode campaigns. So I'm wondering if different Guild Chapters do actually have different drop rates, and I'll be tracking this, as I farm more energy into Naramiri, and just see if it balances back out towards 40%, or if in fact that it does actually have a lower drop rate, and that's what I'm seeing right here. It's a bit early. Again, I just wanted to kind of raise this with people who are maybe farming Naramiri and wondering the same thing, if they're getting that kind of luck. Maybe I just had a huge string of bad luck. who knows? Just wanted to raise that anyways. So that's going to be the end of this video. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.